Soraya, it's Jeff. How's it going?
All right, yourself?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited.
All right.
Excited to talk about this album.
Yes.
So
this is the new Redd Kross album, and I think we've got a pretty interesting show in store for today. Want to let our listeners know who will be joining us today for this discussion?
Sure. So when you and I were at the last show a couple weeks ago, I ran into Kari Pearson, who we have met before at a dinner at Damon's. And she's friends with Redd Kross and a former member, I believe. So I asked her if she would be interested in joining us on the podcast to talk about their new album.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think you had brought up that we wanted to talk about the album and if there was anybody that I could think of who would be interested in talking about the album with us. And she was one of the first people that I thought of. And then when we ran into her at that last show, I thought, oh, here's my opportunity to ask if she'd be interested. And thankfully, she said yes. So we're going to give her a call and see what she thinks of the new album.
Beautiful. Let's go. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tune.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy. All right. Time to add Kari to our call.
Perfect.
Hey, Kari.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Okay.
So I have Soraya on the call with me, and we've got the recording started so we could talk about the new album.
Okay.
Perfect.
How are you feeling today?
All right for being 110 degrees outside.
Oh my gosh. All right. So Soraya and I were excited to hear that Redd Kross has a new album, Beyond the Door, that was recently released. Did you get a chance to listen to it?
Yeah, a couple times, and then I was kind of shuffling it with all the other Redd Kross albums, and I wrote some notes.
Oh, very
whether
cool.
I could for them as another.
Yeah, I was wondering, could you tell our listeners about your connection with the band?
See, I met them when they, as the Tourists, played at Hollywood Park in Manhattan Beach with Eddie and the Subtitles and Black Flag.
Oh, wow.
So, the Tourists got through their set, and then it was during Black Flag's set that all the jocks started throwing full beer things at people.
Oh, no.
Afterward, everybody went to the old church, which is Black Flag, rehearsed, and some people lived. And I think that's where I met Jeff and Steve.
Oh, wow.
And I think I already knew Des Medina, who later was in Redd Kross and Black Flag, but he wasn't in either of them. And then Jeff and Steve asked Jordan, Mary Ratt, and I to be their go-go dancers. So we started the tour of Los Angeles in 79. And then they asked me to sit back up on a couple songs, like Net's Got the Hits and My School, I think.
Oh, wow.
And then they asked, and who are the Mystery Girls, the New York Dolls song. Then they asked me to do a verse of Mystery Girls. Then I did the whole song. And then I did another song. And then I started taking over the band. So that's when we formed Ella and the Blacks. And then Jeff and Steve were our backup band. But then I continued to still perform with Redd Kross sometimes. And then I kicked them out of the band after 2 shows. But they show up to rehearsals because they'd get stoned. And but we still remained good friends. Oh. And I still occasionally would sing with them. I think in 82, 83, I did a couple shows where I did a couple songs with them. Did I do a show and then, or am I mixing it up? No, I'm mixing it up with an English band and another New York Dolls. But maybe I did do that with them. I definitely did Cherry Bomb with them.
Oh, wow.
And then I was out. I moved. I wasn't here for 3 years. And when I came back in '89, they asked me to go down for them at a show at the Fillmore in San Francisco. And they had another go-go dancer at the time. It was my friend Laura. And then I did more in London I did a go-go dance to a couple songs, but that was years later. Not the whole, like Laura and I did. When Quentin Tarantino was our local video clerk. I lived down the street from Video Archives where we worked.
Oh, wow.
He used to kind of intimidate me with his knowledge, so it's kind of like I would feel I'd have to check out something worthy. But then when I ran into him a few years later, I sort of identified who I was because I was better friends with two other guys who worked there, one of whom was Laura, the other go-go dancer's boyfriend, Chuck. And he said, "Oh, you're one of the glorified goddesses of go-go." They probably wouldn't remember me now. But I'm still friends with Jeff and Steve through all the different formations. I know.
Yeah, and there's been quite a few different formations, hasn't there?
Yeah, and then lots of people have come back, either, permanently or guest star appearances. So.
Well, this album, Beyond the Door, is the first album where we see their current lineup. Joining Jeff and Steve on this album are Jason Shapiro, who's been playing with them live recently. He joins them on lead guitar and vocals. He's formerly been with Jupiter Effect.
I thought he was on the last album.
Actually, I think on Researching the Blues, it was Robert Hecker, I believe.
Oh, no, I guess that's because they recorded so long before they released it. Because I remember when I heard part of it, I was out here for a visit in the summer of 2008, and Jeff played me a couple songs. I can't remember exactly when it did come out, but it was a long time after that. So that's right. Yeah, when they toured it, I think they already ordered to stop playing with him because he's a teacher and he couldn't get the necessary time off to tour as much as we're going to tour.
Okay. So then they replaced him with Jason at that time?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the last few years, they have had at least the last 6 or 7 years.
Right. It's been a while. I remember seeing them a while ago with Jason playing guitar. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first album that Jason is playing on.
Yeah, you're right, because I forgot that the previous one was recorded long before it was released.
Oh, that I didn't know. Yeah. Okay. And then Dale Crover is playing drums on this, and I think it's the first album that he plays drums on, too. Because they had Roy McDonald playing on Researching the Blues. So.
Yeah.
Well, this album, Beyond the Door, was released on August 23rd, and like I said, it was their first studio album since Researching the Blues. It came out on the same record label, Merge Records, in 2012. And this one, Jeff and Steven produced the album themselves. When I was doing a little bit of research, I came across something that said that the title for this album, Beyond the Door, was based on a 1974 Italian film. And I thought it was interesting when I looked up the film on Wikipedia, it had this in the description, which I thought was funny. It says, Jessica Barrett is a young mother in San Francisco. Her family and friends begin to notice odd behavior around the time she falls pregnant with her third child. As the strangeness intensifies, Jessica begins to display signs of demonic possession, including spinning her head all the way around and projectile vomiting, which sounds familiar. So then Wikipedia goes on to say, detailing a woman possessed by a demon, Beyond the Door was labeled a ripoff of The Exorcist. Warner Brothers promptly filed a lawsuit claiming copyright infringement, and the lawsuit was ultimately settled in favor of Warner Brothers, with the studio receiving a cash settlement and a portion of the film's future revenue. And I thought it was interesting that the title of this album, Beyond the Door, was based on that film, when we know that the band put out the song Linda Blair, and that's the lead-off track from 1982's Born Innocent album. And Linda Blair, of course, played the character of the 12-year-old possessed girl, Reagan, in that film. So I thought that was an interesting connection that the band titled this album and a song after this 1974 Italian film, and that connection. So there must be an interest in little girls' head spinning and projectile vomit by these guys. So
yeah, I think it's the kitsch element.
Yeah, I love it. Also, when I was doing a little bit of research about the album, one thing that I found in Flood magazine in an article, Steven says, I always thought of us as the last prolific band in the world. We average an album every 5 years. That's not as bad as I thought. Women are born with their lifetime supply of eggs. Maybe it's the same for songs. We haven't gone through song menopause yet. We're slowly rationing so we don't use up our supply and we can continue. And then Jeff jokes, Or maybe we went through song menopause years ago. One of the benefits of being in your 50s and not having made too many records is that we're not spent creatively. There are still ideas that haven't been done yet, which I thought was fun and shows their sense of humor. A little bit about the album. It's 34 minutes in length. I don't know about for you guys, but for me, I love short albums that are like that are around 30 to 40 minutes. To me, that's my attention span. What do you guys think?
I agree. Well, that's one thing I always liked about Redd Kross is that most of their songs, especially in the beginning, used to be under 2 minutes. I never liked songs that went on and on and on and had long breaks and drum solos and you know what I mean? I mean, when I was a kid, I liked Inagata Devita because I thought it was impressive that it was this long. I've changed my taste since then.
2 minutes is good, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Soraya, what do you think? What about that length for an album?
I really do have to agree with the two of you. I like the fast pace of this album, and I like the fact that, you know, majority of the songs are under 3 minutes, you know, save for a couple that are a bit over. But it's as if the first time I played it all the way through, I was barely catching my breath, and then the next song was coming.
Right.
And, you know, this is what I like, you know, similarly about Redd Kross, like Kari mentioned. I like the fact that they're just gonna put it all out there, and it's my job as the listener to really keep up with them. I loved it, and I agree with you, Jeff. I like albums that are a bit more tightly packed like that because it keeps my interest as a listener, and I find it different. Yeah, I like it.
There's one other thing I wanted to share before we actually get into the songs, and that was something that I found on the Merge Records website, the label that released the album. They have this little caption, and it says, Redd Kross invite you to explore Beyond the Door, an album inspired by the band's total commitment to having the best fucking time that we can while we're still here. It's a rock and roll record and a celebration of everything brothers Jeff and Stephen McDonald love, from cultures both high and low. Musically, it's guitars, bass, and drums, topped with a generous portion of sweet vocal melodies, often delivered with an ambiguous edge. And the album was released in 3 different formats: a CD that has a 4-panel digipack. It's got a 12-page booklet in it that has lyrics and photos in it, which is pretty cool. And then the regular vinyl album that also has the lyrics. Then the one that I got was the limited edition pressing on purple vinyl, and it looks super cool. So purple's my favorite color, and yeah, it just looks and sounds fantastic. Let's go through the songs real quick. So I'm just going to read off what they are. There's 11 songs on the record, and the song titles are The Party, Fighting, Beyond the Door, There's No One Like You, Ice Cream, Strange and Pleasing, Fantastico Roberto, The Party Underground, What's a Boy to Do, Punk 2, Joan Hoople, and then they end with a cover, When Do I Get to Sing My Way. So I thought we could listen to samples of each song and then give comments about it. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to play 30 seconds of the opening track, which is called The Party. So here we go. The party is groovy and everyone here loses control. Alright, so it's hard to cut that one off, but I'm only allowed 30 seconds. So, Kari, what did you think of that song as an opening track?
Well, a first note that I wrote down said, reminds me of something. And you said that the album closed with it opens with a cover, too. This is by Henry Mancini.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the original. Did you know that song?
I know I must have heard it before. I've never seen the film. But I'm very familiar with the film because this act in it with Peter Sellers, The Party, is also the name of the film. They're my brothers, and my brother has a poster for the film in his bathroom and has for the last 20 years.
Wow.
That actor who actually lived near our family cabin, he died a few years ago, and I never met him. But I can't remember his name at the moment. That's why I'm calling him the actor.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to see this movie. And I was on a plane last year, and I saw that they had The Party, and so I watched it, but it was a different movie called The Party. This one's from the late 60s.
Yeah.
And there's an instrumental version of that song, and then also a vocal version, which I listened to last night just to see what it sounded like. It sounded pretty similar, but it's got a lot more sitar in it. And then in turn, it kind of reminded me of the soundtrack to Exorcist 2, bringing it back to Linda Blair again.
Wow.
And which was done by Ennio Morricone. And then I got an urge to hear that song Magic and Ecstasy, which I have the record, but I just found it easily on YouTube. Because I remember that Jeff came to my house, whole party I had in '89, and put that record on, and everybody started dancing around the room like they were on psychedelic drugs and freaking out.
Wow.
And anyway, that before I found out that this was a cover song, and from the movie and everything, from this arrangement of it, I don't know whether I would have, if I just heard this out of the blue, whether I would have even identified it as Redd Kross, because most of their songs never had such buried vocals as this version. I wrote that I can't understand a single word. So. But anyway, yeah, I liked it. And I must say that the album, as a whole, I liked it a lot better the third time I heard any of the songs.
Oh, wow.
And I always find out the way that I love an album right away, and then it might go down in my opinion or stay the same. But some of the records I like the most, I'm kind of disappointed with the first time, and then it just grows each time. So, wow. And I can't remember any other Redd Kross album, because I think just every single one, I knew a lot of the songs before the album came out.
Right.
Except for maybe researching, because I'd only heard a couple of the songs beforehand. But most of them I was, familiar with them from, even researching the blues, because I didn't get it right away. I think I was waiting to see if they gave me a copy, and then I bought it probably a year after it came out.
Oh, wow.
So I had heard them play most of the songs.
Researching the Blues is probably my favorite, or was my favorite Redd Kross album. This one might be in contention for that spot, but I absolutely love that album. Like you, I think the albums that are growers for me, those are the ones that end up staying in my playlist. So those are the ones that I don't burn out on, that I end up liking the more that I hear them. What about you, Soraya? Is this song a grower for you, or this album?
Yeah, and for me, this initial track, it took me a couple of listens to really kind of embrace it a lot more. And now, as you were playing it again, I'm like, yeah, this is really good. So for me, this album was a grower, but this song in particular was a real grower for me, because as I was prepping for this episode, I made a note of the songs that stood out to me initially, and The Party was kind of a late addition to that, and I think it's just because after listening to it. But the quote you had from Merge, musically it's guitars, bass, and drums topped with a generous portion of sweet vocal melodies. I mean, we can talk about those elements in each and every one of these songs.
Yes, absolutely.
And I also didn't know that this was a cover, and so now I'm really intrigued, because I have seen The Party, and I remember the instrumental, but I don't remember the vocal track, so now I need to go find that. But thank you, Kari, for the mentions of those two, of the Ennio Morricone and then the Henry Mancini, because now I gotta go back and do a little work.
Yeah, there's a really fun video on YouTube of the version with the vocals that's worth checking out. I never even heard of the film until doing research for this record, and I went and I looked up that song on YouTube, and it's a lot of fun too. In my opinion, this song definitely sets the tone for this album of being high energy, fun, party. I mean, it's in the name right there. There's another song with party in the title, but it's just a fun record, and listening to the song, it's hard for me to sit still because it's just so danceable. I'm really anxious to see the band play. By the time we air this episode, I've already seen them, but as we're recording, I'll be seeing them on Tuesday in San Diego when they're opening for the Melvins, but I'm hoping that a generous part of the set list are songs from this album, this one included. And I did want to mention before we move on to the next song, is that you may notice that there's a female vocal in there, and that's Steven's wife, Anna Warnker, on background vocals. So she played in the band That Dog, who's also been in the studio lately, and they've got a new album coming out called Old LP. She's singing on there too, so I just thought I'd add that in. So should we move to the next song? Song number 2?
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a listen.
Yeah.
This one's called Fighting. I hate cutting these songs off. All right, Kari, what does your notebook say about fighting?
Well, this one, it sounded like a Redd Kross song. But again, if I'd heard this out of context, I wouldn't have been able to identify it because it isn't their typical production. It's got real buried, again, maybe not quite as buried as the last one, but it doesn't have pop sort of production that a lot of their songs get. It also doesn't have the sort of clean punk version of their earlier albums either. I liked it, but it wasn't one of my favorites. The chorus sounded more like maybe I could have identified that Kross. And I wrote faster than most of the song, loud guitar.
Yeah.
In order to remember.
Right, yeah. Soraya, what about you? What did you think?
I like this song because, again, I'm thinking back to the first time that I was listening to the album straight through, and this song was like, it just kind of overtook me. But, and again, these guitars are undeniable in this song. So, yeah, it's again, I think you said something really interesting, Jeff, where you said the party kind of sets the tone, and then, it's like literally blasting through the door with the second track. So pretty cool. What do you think, Jeff? What do you like about this track, or what didn't you like about it?
Well, not only blasting through the door, beyond the door, right? Okay, so
what you did there.
So I like it. There's a lot of energy in it, and I love the guitar work between Jeff and Jason on it. This song was written exclusively by Jeff, as I think out of the 11 tracks, I think 5 of them he wrote by himself, this being the first on the album that's written solely by him. I like on the chorus where they're singing, or in the refrain rather, where he's singing 1, 2, 3, we're so excited. You can hear that excitement in the music. Yeah, to me it's just a good, fun song with good energy, and like Kari said, loud guitars for sure. So it's a fun one. So that brings us to the title track, song number 3, Beyond the Door. And before I play it, I did want to note that the band has released a video for this song, for Beyond the Door. They released the video the same day that they released the album on August 23rd. The video was directed by Julian Fort and has a special guest, not sure how to pronounce the name, Jerry Fennelly, or Fennelly?
Jerry Fennelly.
Okay, do you know who that is? I wasn't familiar.
Yeah, I know her really well. She Redd Kross for many years.
Oh, really? Like a permanent member?
Yes. All through the early to mid 90s, at least.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at least she joined in about 1990 or 91.
Okay. So she plays a honky tonk.
Go to my Facebook page, you'll see lots of pictures.
Oh.
From the old days.
Very good. I'm going to check those out for sure. So she plays like a honky-tonk piano. And then also co-starring in the video is Anna Warnker. She's the soothsayer in the video, so I recommend you checking that out. But anyways, so here's song number 3. This is their title track. And the first single, this is Beyond the Door. All right, Kari, what do you think of that one?
Well, this was the first track on the album that I would have been able to identify as Redd Kross,
Okay.
even though it actually does have that same kind of different production than their previous recorded songs. The vocals aren't as vibrant and out there, but it is very Kross. But it also reminded me of someone else, and I couldn't, like, the first track did remind me of too, and that's before I wrote that, before I found out it was a cover. Even so, I still can't think of who it is, but
I feel like
but it also does remind me. It fits in with Redd Kross's 90s albums, that kind of style of songwriting. And I put a Star as one of my favorite tracks.
Nice. I was going to ask you guys at the end, which are your most favorite and least favorite on the album. This is a great one to me, too. And Kari, I'm the exact same way. It totally reminds me of something, and I just can't put my finger on it, but I don't know what it is. But it's certainly a fun song. And I don't know if you guys noticed or knew this, but this is the only co-write between Jeff and Steve on the album. So they both co-wrote this song together, which I thought was interesting. And again, it's the only co-write on the album. But to me, it's just a fun song. And it's weird when I read the lyrics along with it, because the melody is so catchy, the lyrics don't exactly fit in my mind. Like, I don't know how they write lyrics and make these melodies so catchy on top of it with the lyrics that are there. But it's the phrasing is that's what I'm referring to, as the phrasing is unusual to me. Soraya, what did you think of this one?
I loved the arrangement of this song, and just every instrument to me stands out. And for being the third track, I liked it placed there because we're starting to kind of go into a whole, I don't want to say like different direction, but I think the word I'm looking for is, it's a small change. I like the fact that it's a co-written tune, but the arrangement on this song is what stood out for me. I mean, it's just, everything stands out. I like it a lot.
Nice. Okay, so that brings us to track number 4, and this one was written by Steve and his wife Anna. It's called There's No One Like You. Let's give it a listen.
You came home from across the street. You did Shabbat and it was really sweet. Then stone-faced and right on cue, you said you didn't like me 'cause I'm not a Jew. Although I know that is true, there is no other quite like you. There's no one like you.
Before I ask you guys what you think of this, I just wanted to add a little comment that may or may not influence what you guys think of this. There's a Redd Kross Facebook fan page called Cross Crew that is administered by our friend John Alvarez, or Stardust, Soraya. And he had asked the band on that page about the lyrics to this song, and Steve responded that they wrote it for their son Alfie, which I think is kind of obvious if you read through the lyrics. But there's a couple stanzas in here that I thought were real touching. I'm going to read those real quick from the lyric page. One stanza says, and remember, this is a father and mother writing this about their son. It says, will you be a singing heartthrob, or settle down and get a steady job, or will you play that basketball? It doesn't even matter 'cause you always score. Later on, it says, our epic journey has just begun, the story of a father and his magic son. It may be corny, but you know it's true. Your mama even helped me write the song for you, which I thought was really cute, and it's really touching. And then, of course, the chorus is, there's no one like you. And to me, it's so touching that a father singing that about their son makes it really sweet. That being said, Kari, what do you think of the song?
When I was listening, I had not looked at the lyrics, and I had not looked at who wrote any songs. But as soon as I heard it was Steve singing, I knew that Steve wrote the song. And this is the first track that you could make out all the lyrics. It
Right.
doesn't have that buried thing at all. Within the 2 lines, I knew it was about Alfie. I heard basketball as well, because I've known Alfie since he was born, and I wasn't surprised that Anna was the co-writer as well. It kind of has a bit of an Anna's songwriting feel to it as well, and I also wrote, it kind of reminds me a little of the Mumps or Christian Hoffman, and both Steve and Anna have recorded with him on one of his albums.
Good call on that. Soraya, your thoughts?
I liked it, and I came back to the lyrics after I think maybe my 3rd listen on the album, and then I read it and thought it was a very sweet song. Like the lyrics are, sweet is the word I'm looking for. I like the song a lot, and now that you and Kari are kind of giving me a little more background, I like it even more. And again, we get a different pace of song at this point, and so I think it's just interesting for this. We're building into this midpoint, and we're getting a lot of different tastes and flavors. So I like it. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, it was a good one for me, but especially when I read Steve's response to Stardust's question about it, when he mentioned that it was about his son. It's so sweet and touching that I like it. But yeah, it's just a sweet song with a nice melody. And it's always fun for Steve to sing on a song or two on an album. So
I agree with you.
Okay, on to track number 5, and this is the second song, or the next song where Jeff wrote this on his own. So this is Ice Cream, and in parentheses, Strange and Pleasing.
Little girl arrives by truck, gets stuck in the alley of her dreams. Phrases line, rapid fire, poet's choice, words for hire. I don't know what goes on in her mind. It's a fact. Someone's gonna leave us dead, someone's gonna have to stay back. If someone's gonna leave us dead, someone's gonna have to. It's not easy. Can't please me. Know that we
So what do we think about this one? Kari, what's your thoughts?
This might be my favorite.
Mhm.
I'll have to. There's one other song I'll have to hear again because I wasn't really ranking, but that one was, I would have picked it out as Redd Kross, even though the vocals do kind of go a bit indecipherable. I didn't read the lyrics when I was listening to it. I did in some of the very, very last songs, and then I kind of read the lyrics afterwards, and so I just know what's strange and pleasing about the ice cream here.
Yeah.
But I liked it. It's very like 60s psychedelic, but also very like a Redd Kross pop song, like late 90s Redd Kross style.
Nice. Soraya?
For me, Jeff, these 2 songs, so Ice Cream, Strange and Pleasing, and Fantastico Roberto, I love this combination right in the middle. With Ice Cream, it had that very 60s psych vibe, and still very reflective of the band at the moment. So I just liked it. It was one of those songs that just caught my attention. It was the first one that I wrote down as me liking a lot. And I've listened to this song quite a bit, a lot of repeat, but I just thought it was a really interesting choice and a little different, as you start kind of comparing it to the ones that came before it. I thought it was a really interesting choice, and I like it a lot. What about you, Jeff?
Very cool. So I wrote down, and tying in with Kari's comment, I put the most psychedelic song on the album, question mark, and then I also put Jason Shapiro's wah guitar sounds amazing. I'm assuming it's Jason. It could be Jeff, of course, but there's some cool like light wah guitar pedal sounds in there that's really cool. But surprising for me, especially when I listen to the song now, this was a grower for me. The first couple times I listened to it, it didn't jump out as one of the better songs to me, which is really surprising to me because this is like right up my alley. Like this is what I like, and of course, yeah, it's probably my favorite now. But a couple of the lyrics I wanted to read off real quick. I mentioned that it's the most psychedelic. So it starts off, yellow, pink, and violet scenes, bright garbage as far as you can see. Pastel girl arrives by truck, gets stuck in the alley of her dreams. Then later in the song it says, the pastel girl is on the verge of fainting, but she can't stop herself. The colored lights ignite the fight, or is it the fight for her and no one else? Phrases fly, rapid fire, the poet's choice words for hire. I don't know what goes on in her mind. So to me it's super psychedelic lyrically, and then the music backs that up too. Yeah, so first listen, not one of my favorites. Now, probably one of two of my favorites, or in the top three for sure. All right, that brings us to track number 6, also written by Jeff. Soraya, I'm going to have you introduce this because you sound so much better saying it than I do.
This is Fantástico, Roberto.
California ladies in their antique rags, much retreated spurs that catch the wind, see the golden mud, let the other side win, let them
So this was the one I was most curious about what Kari thought about. So I'm really curious what you think about this one.
Well, this one I have the least notes about. It is very Redd Kross. I would have recognized this one. I wrote down prog rock.
Oh, nice.
And it just sounds to me like if you put a lot of their songs from various eras together and kind of in a computer and spat it out, it would come out with this song.
Oh, that's very interesting.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it didn't stand out in a good or a bad way. I liked it.
So it's probably good placed right in the middle of the album. This is the pivotal. I mean, this is song number 6, so it's probably good placement in the sequence. I was really curious to hear what you thought, because in my mind, this felt like the most Redd Kross song to me. And you being so close to the band, I was wondering if you felt similarly. More so like the
well, as I said, my analogy of taking songs from various eras and mixing them up in a computer, and so that jives with what you said. So.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you say that. That's a perfect description too. I love that. Soraya, what do you think?
I like the song a lot, and I think what Kari said is spot on. Yeah, put a lot of different songs together, put it in a machine, and boom, this song comes out, and it's very emblematic of the band. I just like that. I thought it was a fun song, and the arrangement on this, and for me, I kept listening, and it's as if I kept listening to Jason Shapiro on guitar. That's what I kept hearing that over and over and over. But I just liked it a lot, and like I said, I really like the interplay between Ice Cream and then the transition to Fantástico Roberto, and then we move into the next set of songs, and it's just a neat midpoint. Yeah. What about you, Jeff?
Yep. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. I just wrote down the most Redd Kross of the bunch.
That's pretty interesting.
All right. So next up is the only song that Steve wrote by himself. This is The Party Underground.
come on down. Underground, with all the lost and found.
How catchy is that? So what do you think, Kari?
Catchy. When I first heard this, I didn't kind of identify this as a Steve written song, but and I put stars next to it, and now that I've heard it with the other starred things I had, this is my favorite track on the album.
Wow.
And it also reminds me of something which I can't put my head on. I put down 60s great harmonies, great hooks, and the guitar bit, and the wah-wah.
Yes.
There's something else I wanted to say about it, and now, I know. Before I played this album, because it had been so long since the last album was recorded, and since Jeff got so into K-pop, which I don't believe Steve is so into, and he kept sending me links to things, and listen to this, you'll love this, and it's like for once our taste did not jibe, because I can't stand K-pop. I can kind of see the attraction for the tackiness of it, but I just don't like it. I don't get it at all, and I was wondering what that was going to permeate Jeff's songwriting. And I don't think it has on this album, though I know when I was reading the lyrics, I did notice that there was at least one song that was written about K-pop.
Right. Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was now. It's probably one where you can't hear the lyrics at all. But anyway.
Yeah, you're right. So
and I don't think it has, but it's very interesting that my favorite song was written solely by Steve. No offense to your taste, Jeff.
Yeah, you're right. So in Fighting...
Maybe I'll come around someday.
Yeah, in the song Fighting, which you mentioned had buried vocals, there's the line, K-pop girls singing beef heart songs, his gal Bimbo wants to sing along. So yeah, it actually comes up in lyrics. So interesting. Soraya, your take on this?
This is I like the sound of this song a lot. And again, I keep talking about the arrangements, but Kari's right. It's the hook. The hook had me. And it's another fun song. And just now as I'm looking over the tracks, I think I hadn't made the connection. We start out with the party, and then we're moving beyond the door, and now we're at the party underground, and it's like a different sound. It's moving us in a different direction. I like this song a lot. It's one of those that just grabs you and doesn't let go until the end. What about you, Jeff? Anything else you want to
add? This was another one, surprisingly, that I didn't care for at first, but I have to agree with Kari. This is the best one. It's just so catchy. I'm curious what I'll think next year, but initially I was like, eh. But now, I've got this marked as, if not the best, definitely in my top 3. There was a couple of lyrics that stood out to me, and I'm not really a lyric person, but on the second stanza, all the young dudes, transmission killed by static, closed-minded attitudes, there's nothing to hate, no need to fear, and then later, herd mentality, grazing on a diet of dull normality. I was like, this is interesting. It's a party underground, but there sounds like there's some haters out there that that are getting the brunt of it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Super hooky. The guitars are fun. The melody's just great. But yeah, I'm a fan. Definitely a fan. Okay, so next up is a Jeff song. So this one's called What's a Boy to Do?
When things go my way, it's a brand new sunny day, and it's not a warning you now that I will be lost, because love and fear get away with everything. What's a boy to do? It changed for you.
All right. Any thoughts on this one, Kari?
I wrote down really Redd Kross-ish.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
that one I would have spotted, when they have that thing when they play the opening of a song and you identify it, even if I hadn't heard it, within 3 seconds.
You could have got that one right off the bat.
And definitely not. Yeah, and no K-popping. No, it is one of it's probably in my top 5. And it's hooky, it kind of sounds like later Redd Kross, after the 80s, I'll say. And really nice harmonies.
Yeah, the harmonies are great.
That's what stood out to me for those harmonies. And this was a song that stood out to me on the first listen. And maybe because, Jeff, you know me, I'm a huge sucker for a sweet harmony. And that's what just drew me in. And I really liked it from the get-go. Really nice composition. And I like the lyrics on this one, too. So nicely done. I'm just enjoying kind of the variety of, I really like hearing from the two of you. This is definitely a Redd Kross song because to me, there's just so much variety, and I guess it just really speaks to the band's versatility, and especially, of Jeff and Steve, and just they've got such a vast background, and they just share those things, and then the people they surround themselves with. I liked it a lot. It's just a different song. It had me from the get-go. Anything else, Jeff? What about you? Did you like this one a lot?
Yeah, I really did. The first line, or when it gets to or am I irresistible, ultimate supreme, it totally reminds me of something. I think it's another Redd Kross song, but when I hear it, my mind is searching for what it is that it reminds me of, but I'm pretty sure it's another Redd Kross song. Just that one, just the phrasing of that one. So it, like I said, it probably is a Redd Kross song. And yeah, the lyrics are fun, and like Kari said, the harmonizing is great on this. And I should have mentioned that on Beyond the Door too, that Steve's harmonizing is really good on that one. There was one lyric that stood out to me, and it's, "You can really drive me mad, and I know sometimes I'm twice as bad." So I thought that would be something that I would sing to my wife. So I don't know if he's singing to his wife, "Go Go Charlotte Caffey," but that's something I would say. I don't know if the rest of the lyric fits that, but yeah, that line stood out to me.
I think so.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay, so this brings us to track number 9, which is the last song that Jeff wrote by himself, and the song is just simply titled Punk 2. Okay, what do we think of this one? Kari, you up first.
Well, this one's very Redd Kross, but it's early Redd Kross. Not so much. Well, kind of like the Tourist era if it was slowed down a little. But I'd say more like the Third Eye to Neurotic era.
Oh, okay.
Sort of classic, melodic, slightly punky pop Redd Kross. So,
yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's why it's punk too.
Yeah.
I think this one I did look at the lyrics when I was listening to. Don't remember them making much sense. Or
yeah.
Okay.
I don't get what they're saying either. Yeah. So where's Punk 1? Where's that track?
I don't know.
Maybe that one got retitled. Soraya, what do you think?
What I liked about it, and now that I'm looking at it, it's under 2 minutes, so very, very apropos for a song called Punk 2. But I like the garagey flavor of it. This one came at me hard and fast, and left me wanting more. So I liked it. It was just a fast-moving song. I liked it a lot. What about you, Jeff?
Not so much. So
Okay.
to me, this is the one song that I could have done without. I do like Dale's drums on it. Like, that's the one thing that stands out to me is the drumming on it. But otherwise, I'm not really a fan. So I think this is, at least to this point, it's the one that I skip over. And it is it's awfully short. It's a minute 41, so it's a very short song. But to this point, this one doesn't do much for me. So, all right. So second to the
Move on.
Yep. The rest of them are amazing. This one, not so much. So, the next to the last song, interestingly enough, was co-written by the Muffs' Kim Shattuck. So, it's a co-write with her and Jeff, and I think it's pronounced Joan Hoople. Okay, so here we go.
You say you're really doing great. I don't think so. I know the things you did. You never seem to get what you deserve. And you always have the nerve to
Okay, so what's in Kari's notebook?
I love Kim. I love the Muffs. This wasn't I like the song. It wasn't one of my favorites though.
Fair enough.
And I was looking at the lyrics because I got them going through this point of the album, and I couldn't make much sense of them or the title. Who Joan is spelled like that, or does Hoople have something to do with Mott the Hoop, or you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
But now I can't remember what the lyrics were because I didn't like study them that hard.
Yeah.
Or take any notes on them, really. There weren't any tracks that I really disliked, unlike your last one.
Yeah. All right, so
Though also, even the ones I loved, there also weren't any that I loved as much as some of their older songs. So yeah, there you have it. It's in the middle. You know?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's interesting. I like that. For me, Jeff, I think I didn't realize, or maybe I didn't, when I was looking at the lyrics, I didn't pay close attention. Didn't realize it was co-written by Kim. But let me tell you, once you said it, I heard her voice, right?
Yeah.
I heard her, the wording reminded me a lot of her composition. But it's a good song. It's a good song. These last two tracks are an interesting transition away from punk too. And you and I, Jeff, have talked a lot about that, how sometimes like it's the last couple of songs that, you know, really make a different sort of statement on an album. What did you think, Jeff? Was it a favorite? Did it bring something different after listening to punk 2 and not liking it?
I think it did. I think the sequencing for me helps a lot with this song coming after that. So I wouldn't say it's in my top 3, but it's probably in my top 5. It's definitely towards the top. I really like the song a lot. In my mind, once I read the credits and did read that Kim was a co-write on this, I could totally hear her, at least in the first verse.
100%.
So I'd be interested to hear her version of it. But it's definitely a Redd Kross, too. I mean, you can hear Jeff taking it and making it his. But the one thing that really stood out for me is the bass in the song, the bass line. So Steve is definitely in my top 5 bass players of all time. I'm on record, but even more so live. He's just amazing to watch live. And the bass guitar on the song is really, really cool. I like the singing and the lyrics. Let me read a little part of it. It says from the lyric sheet, so you are so beautiful in person, but little evil hides behind the curtain. You're wicked, it's true, destruction follows you. And it makes me think of somebody like a troll sitting at a keyboard. But on the outside or in person, you're beautiful, but behind the curtain, you're a little evil person. I don't know what it's referring to, but that's what I read. And like Kari said, the lyrics are confusing. I don't know what Jane Hoople is, or if it's a reference to Mott the Hoople. But Yeah, when I read that, you're so beautiful in person, but little evil hides behind the curtain. That's what comes to my mind. But yeah, I really like this one a lot. So we end with a cover, and it's a cover of a song by Sparks. So it's was originally written by, or is written by Ron and Russell Mayo, the brothers, and it's
Ron Mayo.
Oh, Ron and Russell, right? Yeah. So this was
Ron. Well, Russell did write the odd song, but Ron wrote 95% of them. Though, interestingly, Russell did write my favorite Sparks song of all time.
Which is what? Now I'm curious.
Roger from the first album.
Oh, nice. Well, this one comes from their 1994 album, Gratuitous Saxon Senseless. And so this was When Do I Get to Sing?
Saxon
What's that?
Violins.
Oh, senseless violins, right?
Isn't it gratuitous Saxon violins?
And senseless violins, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, when do I get to sing my way?
No use in lecturing them or in threatening them. They will just say, who are you? Is that a question or not? When you see that the plot is predictably not new, but you're still stunned at things you will do. No use in taking our time or wasting 2 dimes on a cold God knows who.
So, Kari, before we start talking about the song, you probably know better than I do, but wasn't Steve involved with Sparks for a while? Maybe with the touring band?
Yeah, he played in Sparks for several years, including when they did their 21 albums in their entirety in 2008 in London.
Oh, wow. And you were there. You were there for those, weren't you? Those shows?
Yep, I saw everyone. It was down the street from where I was living.
Wow. Those must have been amazing.
So it was hard work, though.
21
5
days.
nights a week.
Yeah.
5 nights a week, and then there were 2 nights off, and then Steve would insist we go see other bands those 2 nights. I'm like, I need a night off from this.
Give my ears a rest. Wow. So what did you think of their cover?
This little snippet, I liked it better than the few times I heard it before. I know, it was like, I like all their covers, and they either put their own stamp on it or do such obscure covers that there's not many other people doing them. Though, look on up from the bottom, my friends in England did an even better cover of it. But anyway, like Blow Me a Kiss in the Wind and Cease to Exist. And then they did, of course, the Beatles, but they did it the Quick style. And then they covered my very favorite Quick song, Pretty Please Be, and the Kinks' Fancy. But this one Sparks have actually done 2 versions of this song, because they did a really stripped down with just keyboards and vocals version of it as well when they did a tour.
Oh.
And so this version is sort of the original version that was from gratuitous sax and violins. And they haven't changed it that much. They kind of put the Redd Kross stamp on it. But I think when I first heard it, I was kind of missing the certain inflections in the original, sung by Russell Mayo. But now that I've heard it a few times, I'm starting to kind of lose that and appreciate, its own style. It's like when you hear something and you're expecting to hear this phrased in this way, and sort of subconsciously it jars you, but I've now lost that, and so I'm liking it more. They covered it.
That's a really, really good point, and that's something that you have to face when you're doing a cover, right? Is the comparisons with the original. But I'm really glad you noted that. I think that's really important to note when listening to a cover. Soraya, what do you think of this one?
I really like this cover a lot. And I thought it was a bold move to end the album with it. It's just a different song, different vibe, and but the arrangement is just bloody good on it. It's really, really good.
Nice.
I enjoyed it. What about you?
Well, I'm gonna say something blasphemous.
Do it.
I'm a huge Sparks fan, and I think Ron and Russell Mael, they're geniuses. I think those guys are some of the best songwriters ever. I like this one better than the original. Yeah, no, it's pretty true to the original, but I like the energy on it, and don't get me wrong, I love the original, but I just love the energy, and maybe it's because it is a nod to a great band. They're so good. Sparks are so good, but yeah, I like this, and it's a fun way to end the album for me, and it's the lyrics are interesting too. I mean, just the fact that when do I get to sing my way? It's such a Sparks lyric, and to me, good song, good way to end the album. I love it. So that's all the songs for us. I think I know the answers from you guys, but let's go through real quick before we sign off. Most favorite and least favorite song. So what do you think, Kari?
Most favorite is the Party Underground. Least favorite, I don't know.
That's fair.
I suppose it could be. No, I don't know.
We'll have to get back to you.
I'll say Fighting, but
okay.
But I'd have to listen. But I didn't rank them, and it's probably going to change in an hour.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. What about you, Soraya? Do you have a favorite or least favorite?
So this week, today, my favorite right now, and it's the one that I'm playing quite a bit, is Ice Cream, Strange and Pleasing. And the one that I'm not replaying as much, Joan or Joni Hoople.
Interesting. Even with that bass line?
That bass line is pretty badass, but it's the one song that I just don't, it doesn't, what is it that Marie Kondo says? It doesn't spark joy entirely. Like, it's one song where, like, I'll enjoy it, but I'm enjoying other songs more. All right, Jeff.
Fair enough.
So give us the lowdown.
So
what's your favorite right now?
I think it's obvious. So the Party Underground, but just bubbling under is Ice Cream, Strange and Pleasing. So those two are battling. But I'm gonna.
And which is, I mean, you stated it pretty clearly. But what's the song that you don't need to hear often?
Punk 2.
There you go.
but I wouldn't mind seeing Dale play that one live.
Yes.
If they played that one live, my eyes are going to be on the drummer for sure.
Well, you're going to have to give us an update after Tuesday.
Yes.
And see what they play.
Yes. All right. Any last thoughts on the album that we haven't already discussed that we want to mention? I don't have anything. Okay.
Not that I can think of.
Fair enough. So the band is on tour with the Melvins. I was going to read off some tour dates, but by the time we air this, those shows will probably already be gone. So the tour dates can be found.
There's plenty more.
Yeah, I think they're doing like 56 dates, I believe.
I'm seeing them in New Orleans in late October.
Oh, wow.
So, Jeff, do you want to plug the Redd Kross page where people can find the updated list of shows?
Yeah, so it's easy to find. It's reddkross.com/shows/ and they spell the name of the band, of course, REDDKROSS. Again, it's reddkross.com/shows/ and there's plenty of dates to catch them at all over the place, and they're opening for the Melvins, and Dale and Steve also play in the Melvins too, so you'll see them doing double duty on stage. So anyways, that's all I've got. It's a great album. I think we all agree. And Kari, before you go, we have read through your very extensive blog, and we wanted to know if you wanted to pimp your blog.
The one with my journals, which is called Elemental, it is at Ella Black, as one word, ELLABLACK.blogspot.com. And I guess that will get you to it.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that's Blogspot, BLOGSPOT.
Perfect. And there's a lot of fun stuff in there. You've been doing that for years, right?
And I've got a couple others. One about closing down the family house. That has a lot of pictures of Redd Kross in it because they were my best friends for many years. And then I've got another one about travel, which has nothing about Redd Kross, but people can look at it if they want to.
Yeah, and you do plenty of that. You do plenty of traveling. So,
Yeah.
to some amazing places.
Yeah, well, I have seen Redd Kross in Madrid and Barcelona and all over Britain many times. I used to go on tour with them when they came over.
Wow. And what kind of reception did they have in those areas? What were the crowds like?
Well, the trouble was when they were the support band, like for Teenage Fan Club, and I can't even think of this band from San Diego who were bigger than them. They didn't get much of a reception because everybody's waiting for the main act. But they grew, and they did have some avid fans in various cities. Like there was some teenage girls in Glasgow who started their own band called Pink Cross, and they would cover their songs. Yeah, and they usually did pretty well in London and big cities. But actually, it was amazing seeing them in Barcelona and Madrid because everybody knew all the lyrics. And these are people who don't speak English as their first language, yet they were singing along. I don't know, people go a lot crazier for foreign bands on the mainland Europe than in Britain, where people are just more reserved. So
I bet that would be fun to see them in another area. So you're going to New Orleans to see them?
No, actually, I'm going to New Orleans just for a week's vacation for the first time since I was 14. And they happen to be playing the second night I'm there. So it was a happy coincidence.
Very nice. I hope you're on the guest list.
Yeah.
You probably won't be putting on go-go boots and a go-go skirt for that show?
Probably not.
All right. Well, Kari, we wanted to thank you so much for bearing through the heat to talk to us about this album, and I really appreciate all your inside information.
Oh, no, I have the AC on. I was hoping it wasn't going to cause any noise and interference. But,
yeah. It was perfect. Thanks again, Kari. We really appreciate your time and coming on and talking about the great album.
It was fun, so thanks for asking me.
All right, and hopefully we'll see you soon at another show.
Yeah, I hope so, too.
All right. Bye, Kari. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
All right, so...
I absolutely love talking to people that know so much.
Yeah.
Inside stuff about a band.
Right.
She's fascinating.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any videos of her doing the go-go dancing with them.
I will bet money that it's somewhere out there.
And if it is, you know we're going to be posting it following this episode.
Well, of course. Because, what was it that Quentin Tarantino called her? One of the glorious go-go dancers.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just cool. This is a really good album. It's a really solid album. And the things that you and I have been seeing online regarding it is really positive, and people are really ready for this album. And I'm glad, I think I didn't realize that they took so much time between albums, and doesn't look like they've skipped a beat at all.
Yeah, I agree.
And you are going to give us a report, right, after you see them on Tuesday?
Sure am.
You're going to give us a little update?
I am. Yes,
and we
I am.
fully expect at least one photo of you with a McDonald brother.
You know I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try.
I know you're going to get it.
I'm going to get it.
And if not a McDonald brother, it'll be Jason Shapiro.
Exactly, yeah.
So we'll take what we could get.
Exactly.
Dude, this album, it is out. It's out on a number of different
platforms.
So you have a CD, you have vinyl, you've got colored vinyl, and digital download, obviously. That's kind of de rigueur these days. But get it. You will not be disappointed. And then you can talk to us about on the page whether or not you agree with our choices.
Yeah, I want to know everybody's most favorite and least favorite. And,
yeah.
And if they agree with what we've said. Or disagree, right? That's fine too.
Amen. It's a free world, and we got lots of music, so why not?
Amen.
So I don't know, Jeff, shall we just close this? Shall we go behind the door?
Yes, let's go beyond the door.
Beyond the door. I said behind. Oh, God.
Let's close the
Let's
door.
Stop this. Let's stop it. I tried to be witty. Gente agrubiar.
Groove on, Paisley people.
So it's Steve and Jeff, and I'm sorry, I did not know your name.
Oh, this is Flaky Jake, our new guitar player.
Hey!
You guys are rock
It's nice to meet you.
He totally
How you doing? So you guys are late. We've been really sad.
Sorry. Oh, we got pulled over by the screws on the way up.
Oh, no.
It was a heavy scene.
So what's going on? You guys just a viewer called in a few minutes ago and said, "How was your trip to England?" And thinking the most for maybe you guys.
We're number one with the bullet in England now.
Are you really?
Yeah, and it's very exciting. And we just found out the muffs are huge in Spain.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Huge in Spain.
Ken's face. We're maybe not so sure about that.
We're gonna party with Steven on this.
Yelling.
Right?
Okay, delightful. This is the perfect way to start out this epic journey with the wonderful, beautiful people of San Diego. Thank you for being here early. All right, I'm going to dedicate this song to you people here at the Casbah tonight.